things I would like to see happen this NFL offseason, and I almost wanted to call this topic or this segment, I guess, like bold predictions for the NFL offseason. Well, that's that's really the only other name that I was thinking of for it. But nonetheless, pretty self-explanatory. Things I like to see this NFL offseason, whether it's player trades, whether it's hirings, whether it's draft moves, whatever the case may be. Y'all let me know. Get in the comments. What would you like to see happen in the NFL offseason? Leave a review wherever you've got your podcasts at, wherever you're at on social media. If you're live with us tonight. So number one, Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay and goes to either the Jets, the Dolphins, or the Niners, teams that I obviously just named for Lamar Jackson as well. Clearly, if you were listening before, you know that I think Lamar Jackson would be a great fit with those three teams because of the defense, because of the fact that they've got playmakers on both sides of the football. The offense is looking good as well. It seems like they're ticking upwards, clearly with the Dolphins and the Niners, and the Jets are making those trends as well. Dolphins and the Niners are really already there. But Aaron Rodgers especially, I'm not going to too much get into the debate of would I take a 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers over a very young, early 20s Lamar Jackson, because they both have their advantages and they both have their disadvantages. But nonetheless, both of those guys would fit with these three, and I'm going to add Aaron Rodgers into wanting to leave Green Bay. I want to see him leave Green Bay. He'll go either to the Jets, the Dolphins, or the Niners. I know he ruled out the Niners. I think the Dolphins would personally be the best move for him just because of how crazy the offense is and what I really think Mike McDaniel could do with him. But the Jets have a great defense as well, and that would really benefit Aaron Rodgers. So any of the three teams would be great. Another one here is I would love to see DeAndre Hopkins go to either the Bills, the Ravens, or the Jags. I had the Chiefs on here as well. And you could include them if you like, but the Chiefs are just Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, supplements for so much. Andy Reid supplements for so much. Travis Kelce really feels like sometimes two receivers at once, the ways he can just get, scripted up in these plays to be wide open and whatnot. But the reason I say the Bills first, the Bills have been a team for a couple years, and it's kind of like how I felt. And this is not a direct comparison, so listen to this whole statement before y'all freak out in the comments, wherever it's on YouTube, live, whatever the case may be. I know y'all like to go crazy sometimes with what I say, and it's like, did you listen to the whole take? Did you get through the whole video? Now, the first reason I say the Bills, I kind of, when I've seen these teams over the last couple of seasons, like the Colts or the Cardinals, and I feel like they've got some great talent, but they're just a move or two away. And with both of those guys, it was specifically like Cardinals, it was head coach. Colts, it was really quarterback. And I feel like the Bills are, now a couple years later, we've seen how great offensively they've got. And it's like, okay, now where's that move to get you over the hump? We've seen you in an AFC title game. We want to see you do more. Or excuse me, not in an AFC title game, but we want to see you do more. We want to see the Bills take that leap. I personally would love to see the Bills win the Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen is great. It'll be great for the league. He's got fans. I mean, the city's crazy. They deserve it. They've come a long way. And especially how Josh Allen was such a project early on. Stephon Diggs is awesome. Dawson Knox is solid. Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, those are solid dudes. But I feel like the NFL now, you look at the Eagles, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. You look at the Vikings, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen's kind of falling off some, but then they went and picked up, I believe, T.J. Hawkinson was pretty solid. You look at the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Just getting those two real solid receivers would be great. And I feel like that's an element that they really need there for the Bills. Also, D-Hop to the Ravens would be very solid. If Lamar Jackson stays there, getting him a great number one receiver, we know the type of guy DeAndre Hopkins is. And I just really feel like Lamar would really use him as a number one receiver very well, just like Kyler did. And then we look at the Jags. I know that's probably like, wow, a big player like DeAndre Hopkins to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but Trevor Lawrence has really taken that leap more than really more than I thought he would in his second year, but it's not a surprise. We know the type of prospect he was coming out. So giving him a big receiver, he already worked with not scraps, but, kind of C+ to B, maybe B- guys over there in Jacksonville. Calvin Ridley's coming back. D-Hop there would be a major move. And of course, like I said, with the Chiefs, Mahomes to DeAndre Hopkins, need I say more? Another thing, and I've said this before, I actually said it in the first episode, that I'd like to see happen this offseason. The Saints move on from Michael Thomas and draft a quarterback. We know Michael Thomas has played 10 games over the last 3 years. I'd love to get some value from him. I'd love to maybe use the value we get from him to get a quarterback, whether it is, The guys that are in the draft, I know that they all have their strengths and their weaknesses, but whether it would be a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson or potentially a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, or call me crazy with a Hendon Hooker, or some of y'all are freaking out on me about Stetson Bennett, but I really don't think y'all understand the transformation that Bennett had in the back-to-back championship years. I'm not going to break down those guys, but we'll get into the draft as the time goes. If you've been looking into the quarterbacks, you understand that this class is pretty solid. So the Saints getting a quarterback, I don't feel like we're completely far gone. I know we're in cap hell, and we're starting to improve that every day, but we still got Olave. We still got Kamara. We're not completely gone yet. I know it sucks with Dennis Allen. We wanted to see other guys, happen, or other guys move around in the coordinator positions, but it is what it is. Getting a quarterback would help things out, though. Number 4, Lamar Jackson works out a deal with the Baltimore Ravens. Like I mentioned earlier, I like Lamar a lot. I think he's done great things in Baltimore. I think he could take Baltimore to the Super Bowl and win it with them. They just need to get healthy and get him some players, getting a Deandre Hopkins in there, getting some pass rushers in there, helping out that offensive line. Like, I'm not saying there's gaping holes. Of course, there are weaknesses with this team, but supplementing it, including bringing Lamar Jackson, getting a free agent piece or two, or just a big signing in that offseason would be major for Baltimore. The 49ers make a big move at quarterback to get over the hump. 49ers have been a team for a while. We like Jimmy Garoppolo, or we have respect for Jimmy Garoppolo at least. Trey Lance looked exciting, but we really don't know. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason, and it's just so hard to seriously include the Niners in it's just so hard to seriously include the Niners in these conversations when it's like, yes, there is Kyle Shanahan. There is a great defense. There are great players. There is Debo. There is CMC. But like, where's the quarterback? Where is the franchise quarterback? You can't win a Super Bowl in today's NFL with an offensive league like it is without a quarterback. So the 49ers making a big move at quarterback to get over the hump. I think the D-line is fine. The O-line is fine. The defense, best in the league. The offense loaded. Like, they are probably the most complete roster in the NFL next to, Philadelphia, outside of the quarterback. It's been a question mark. Jimmy G's gotten them to 2 NFC title games and a Super Bowl. Clearly wasn't able to do enough, whether you blame him or not, to win the Super Bowl in either occasion or to get to a second one. I have respect for him, but I know Niner fans want to see more. I want to see more, and I'm not even a Niner fan, because when I see these teams on the verge, I'm like, damn, they're so close. Darby, we watched it with the Saints for 4 years, man. It's like, Breeze was great and the receivers were there, but the defense was letting us down. And then it was like the next year, then we had a little bit of an injury, and then we didn't have a number 2 receiver outside of Michael Thomas. So it's just like, you were like, the goal was here and you were just inching up, but couldn't get that last move to get to the top. And I really feel like the Niners are in the situation. Yeah, we're going to get into Bobby Wagner, Wes, for sure. Stick around. Really shocked that actually Bobby Wagner was let go. I almost didn't put that in the lineup, but yeah, highest graded linebacker by PFF. Mutually agrees to part ways with the Rams. Don't think anyone is going to bite on Michael Thomas. He's such a mystery now. Yeah, that's true. I've seen some reports of the freaking Bears, bro. I've seen reports of the Patriots. Now, these are obviously, articles I'm reading talking about, like, bold moves for the offseason or hot takes, but people are talking about just paying Michael Thomas 10, 12 million a year, which might suck, but like, MT knows he's not going to get that 20 to 25 a year. God, I think Michael Thomas, what did he sign? 4 years, 100 million. I'm sure you'll fact check that for me, Darby. But yeah, he's not going to get that type of bag anymore. Next thing I want to see here happen in the NFL offseason is the Bengals get a healthy and a deep offensive line so they can get back to that Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, clearly a great player. He's going to get the bag. We're going to be talking about him getting the bag in the next segment. Joe Burrow, though, he's got to be protected. We've seen him in back-to-back years. The first year, third most sacked quarterback in the league, went to the Super Bowl, so kind of erased excuses for everybody. And then we have him last year. They got a little better. I think they were about middle of the pack, maybe 10th to 12th, and in terms of offensive line giving up sacks. But like, they have Joe Mixon, they have Jamar Chase, they have T. Higgins. Like, the defense bends, but it doesn't break. Getting that O-line right would be absolutely major for the Bengals. And I'm not becoming a Bengals fan, but you can't not root for Joe Burrow. Him and Jamar Chase are so exciting to watch. The energy is great. Cincinnati is slowly becoming that new favorite team, and they're in those conversations like we talked about with the Chiefs, with the Bills, now with the Eagles stepping in. So getting an O-line could really get them over the top. The Bears give Justin Fields a chance and get him some help because they need an offensive line. They need wide receivers. They need defense. I see some people's mock drafts And I don't know what I need to look deeper, but I don't know if the mock drafts where I'm seeing Will Anderson go number 1 overall or just a number 1 overall defensive pick. Because to me, if you're going defensive pick number 1 overall, Justin Fields is out the door. I'm not saying that's what they should do, but if you're going to keep Justin Fields in the house and not get him some offense with the number 1 overall pick, which is why it's like, okay, the only offense worth the number 1 overall pick is the quarterback. So this is why I think they trade down. Of course, we got mock drafts coming. That'll be probably a month or so down the road. Those are so crazy to me. I can't believe people do like 20 of them. Darby, I know you said you probably did like 200 mock drafts one time for your football league for fantasy. But yes, the Bears need to give Justin Fields more time. They need to get him some help. Video is on the channel for why Justin Fields needs more time with the Chicago Bears. Get him an O-line. Get him a consistent head coach. He's had 2 head coaches in 2 years, and the last one got him the number 1 overall pick. Go figure. You got to get him a weapon. Whatever it is, you need to help Justin Fields. He is very talented. You look at Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts his first 2 years, and now look at Justin Fields' first 2 years. It's all lining up. We had question about Hurts and Allen. Look what they are now. Look what they're doing now. I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to be them, but you give him a Stephon Diggs type of player, an A.J. Brown type of player. You give him an offensive line like Josh Allen's been able to have, like Jalen Hurts just stood behind for the last couple of years, even when Jalen Hurts wasn't playing at that MVP level, still had that great offensive line. Justin Fields needs that. They have to give him a chance out in Chicago. Just 2 more here before we roll out of this segment. The Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence, a big offensive weapon. Trevor Lawrence, again, took a big step this last season, more than I thought he would, but it's not a surprise. We know he's got Calvin Ridley coming back. Christian Kirk didn't look too bad. I believe Zay Jones is out there, if I'm not mistaken. So if they went and got a DeAndre Hopkins, like I mentioned earlier, if they potentially went and signed an Odell Beckham Jr., maybe a Michael Thomas, just a big offensive weapon for him, or at least something to just kind of solidify that Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, because like, yes, I'll say it's a good 1-2 combo because Ridley is borderline elite to me when he's obviously healthy and when he's out there playing. We saw him with Atlanta. And then Christian Kirk is a solid 2. Some would say he's a borderline 3, so that's why I keep them at good. But yes, getting a weapon for Trevor Lawrence would be major. I would love to see that. And Evan Ingram was awesome with them this year. I thought he had a good year. A lot of people were talking bad about him, but I knew he was an athlete. He's quick. He can play. And he fit in well with the Jags. Very last thing here on things I'd like to see this NFL offseason. The Buffalo Bills make a move at running back to get over the hump. And as much as I hate to say this, whether it's a Saquon Barkley type of move, whether it's an Alvin Kamara type of move, whether like some people think, like I've heard some people saying Mixon might be heading out of town with the Bengals. Like you need, in my opinion, that type of player. Josh Allen has a lot of pressure on him. I was shocked today when I actually tapped back into his numbers and realized he threw 38 touchdowns the year before last. He threw 25 touchdowns this year after throwing 31 touchdowns the year before of when he threw 38. And that was when he took the big leap when Josh Allen had kind of arrived. And he needs relief. James Cook, love him out of Georgia. Was so happy when the Bills drafted him. Devin Singletary, solid guy. Like they have a very solid running back room. Devin Singletary is a solid guy. James Cook, we've seen, is a solid guy. Nyheim Hines, you might not want to call him solid, but he's a piece that can be used and he can be effective when called upon in the right situations. But they need a guy that's really going to take them over the top. Again, whether that's a Saquon, whether that's an AK, whether that's a Joe Mixon, you have to make a splash. You have to. And I know all 3 of those teams might want to keep those running backs, but you got to make calls because the Chiefs are getting better. The Bengals are getting better. The AFC is improving. Like I think Russell Wilson and the Broncos and Sean Payton, people are saying that they might not make the playoffs. I think they're going to return to a pretty nice form. We got some Broncos news coming later in the show as well, but those are the things that I would like to see happen this NFL offseason. Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay. DeAndre Hopkins goes to some awesome teams. The Saints move on from Michael Thomas and draft a quarterback. Lamar Jackson works out a deal with the Ravens. The Niners make a big move at quarterback so they can get over the hump. The Bengals will get healthy and deep at offensive line so they can get back to the Super Bowl. The Bears give Justin Fields help and more time. Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence, a big offensive weapon, and the Bills make a splash move at running back to get over the hump as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everyone tuning into the show tonight. We are 26 minutes in. They talking about Henry to the Bills. Whoa. I don't know if I mean, it would be good. Like, let's not kid ourselves. I'm not going to outthink the room. It would be good, no question about that. But it's just like I feel like they need a passing back. Like Tennessee was really only explosive for a season or two with Derrick Henry like in the backfield, and most of the time after that, when they really depended on it, was putting the ball in Derrick Henry's belly. And I'm not saying Henry can't contribute in the passing game, but I feel like they would get more for their money, and it would just fit the scheme better with a two-way back, like a Mixon, like a Saquon, like an AK. I'm probably going to get so freaking pissed if AK goes to the Bills, and Darby's going to be on my back about it, and I'm going to have to like troll myself and hang up the AK jersey right here. I will never burn it. I'll never do that. I love Kamara. But Derrick Henry to the Bills would be wild. There's rumors of the Titans moving on from Ryan Tannehill as well.